This is the book of Daniel, part 12. The book of Daniel, part 12. I will be looking at Daniel chapter 3 from verse 1 to 7. In the previous series, we have learned some things. How the king forgot the miracles and the wondrous things the Lord did to him. He so much forgot them that he brought up an image for his people to worship. And this time, he wanted everyone to bow to it. Now, the same person who said to Daniel, "Your God is the living God," is now saying, "Bow down to idol." What does this tell you? It simply means that sometimes people can say what they don't mean, and they can mean what they don't say. This is why it will be dangerous for you to rest on the words of humans. Many people say empty words deliberately just to make others feel relaxed. The case of this king is a good example. If you allow the empty words of people to make you relax before time, you may end up failing without anyone to assist you. In verse 2, the king called all the honorables in the land to gather at the dedication of his image. What you support in the open can be a reflection of who your life is submitted to. If you are submitted to God, then publicizing godliness won't be an issue. But if you are not, then the opposite will be your reality. Here, we now know the true color of the king. We now know that all he was saying in chapter 2 were all fake. People can say what they don't mean, and at the same time, they can choose not to say what they really mean. In verse 3, all the honorables that the king called gathered because the king was more honorable. You can have influence without God, but your life cannot make a godly influence. Your life cannot be a godly influence on others without God. Your life cannot make a positive impact on others without God. Your life cannot make a godly impact on others without God. Your life will not have a godly influence on others without God. But you can have influence without God. But for your life to make a godly impact on others, you need God. This king had great influence. He could gather all the notable men in the land, but his influence on his people was not godly because he was not submitted to God. Who you submit to is what defines the kind of influence that your life will have. Your impact on others is a footprint of the kind of image you adore. The king chose to dedicate his image to his God, a God that is not the living God. Every worshiper looks like the God they worship. You are alive if you worship the living God, but you are dead. You are a dead man if your God is dead. Every dedication has a direction. So the king chose to dedicate the image to his God. He called the entire people to his dedication. This act has great spiritual impact. If you go to a place where an image is about to be dedicated to a particular spirit, the moment you bow to worship that image, you yourself have been dedicated to that altar. That's the strategy. So it was the people the king wanted to dedicate to that altar, but he lied to them by telling them he wanted to dedicate an image. Because by bowing to that idol, the people will be dedicated to that evil altar. That was the revelation the three Hebrew men had that made them say they will not bow down. There was something hidden about the king's plan that nobody knows. He kept it to himself because he knows what he was doing. His open declaration was, I want to dedicate this image. But his hidden intentions was, I want to dedicate these people to my evil altar. It was actually the people he wanted to dedicate to his idol. He was only using that image as a camouflage. That was why he told them to bow their heads to the image. By bowing their heads, they will enter into an agreement with that evil altar, whether they know it or they don't. This is why you must be careful of where you go. You see someone inviting you to a celebration. You ask the person, what are you celebrating? But you didn't get a clear response. And yet, because you saw rice and chicken, you spoke in dry tongues and you enjoy, and you empty the plate. You were even asking for more. Hello, I hope you know that you have just been dedicated to an evil altar. This is how many people were dedicated to evil altars. Ceremonies they know nothing about, they just go there and eat. That can be very dangerous. This is where some of the evil people learnt their strategies from. It is not every invitation you must honor. If you have to go, then eating in some places is not mandatory. Eating in some places can be equal to bowing down. It can be equal to bowing. And to bow down is to be dedicated to an idol. Some years ago, I watched a Christian movie. There was this pastor who have been trying to convert a particular rich man. But the man will always say no. Now, the pastor knew that the man is occultic. He knew the man is demonic. The man does this fetish thing. So he's trying to convert the man, but the man will not listen. So one day, the pastor was in need, so he decided to go to this man for help, for financial assistance. When he got there, the man gave him food, maybe rice and chicken. Wow, he sat. The chicken was a very big one. He sat and ate. After eating, he asked for the money the man gave him. On getting home, when he slept, he had a dream. He found himself right in the midst of those occultic people. What was happening? He has been initiated without knowing. Simply by eating that food, he has been initiated. Now, his plan was to do ministry in a clean way. But because he has been initiated, he had no choice. Though he wanted to stop, but he could not stop. He had no choice than to join those occultic people, use demonic power for ministry till he lost his life. So you have to be careful. There are wicked people around us. Be careful so that people will not sacrifice you on an evil altar. They can lie to you just to bring you into their trap. If you are listening to me now and you discover that you ate something, and since that time something abnormal has been happening to you, then it's time to pray. You need to really pray, because that may be a sign that you have been dedicated to an evil altar, and you will need to rededicate yourself back to the true altar with an immediate effect. Many have been dedicated to an evil altar because they can't control their appetite. Somebody will, somebody will say, but it is only Gary that I have. It is good to sow Gary with honor than to eat fried rice and chicken that has been sacrificed to idols. It is good to eat the little thing you have than to eat plenty that will bring you as a scapegoat on an evil altar. It was only the 3 Hebrew men that could discern the king's wicked intentions, and this was why they were the only one that did not bow. Others thought it was normal, but to them it was abnormal. When the abnormal becomes normal to you, it is a sign that you are not normal. When the abnormal becomes normal to you, it's a sign that you are not normal. When the normal become abnormal to you, it is still a sign that you are not normal. They even came with instruments because they know that some people like music. No wonder, When you catch some Christians listening to ungodly songs, they will tell you, no, 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 it's not about the content, it's just the beat. I like the beat. You don't know that the devil has package for you. The devil knew that there are some people that will not come without music, so he brought instrument for them. You that you like sound, I hope you know that the devil also has package for you. He can use that same sound to trap you, just like the king also gathered a lot of instrument to make the people bow to his God, to sacrifice them to that evil altar. May the Lord give us grace in the name of Jesus.